The message arrived on a Tuesday. Earth's combined leadership stood in stunned silence as the holographic representative of the Galactic Council delivered their verdict. After thorough evaluation, we find humanity unsuitable for membership within the Galactic Council. Your species exhibits dangerous tendencies toward aggression, unpredictability, and resource consumption beyond sustainable levels. You are hereby restricted to your solar system until such time as these fundamental flaws have been addressed. Admiral Jun Park's knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the conference table. As head of Earth's United Defense Force, he had overseen humanity's preparation for this moment, their introduction to the galactic community. Now, with a few cold words, they were being caged. "We reject this assessment," Park stated firmly. "Humanity deserves the same rights of exploration and expansion as any species." The alien diplomat's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "The decision is final. Monitoring stations will be established at the edge of your system. Any attempt to violate this quarantine will be met with immediate defensive action." When the transmission ended, the room erupted in angry voices, but Park remained silent, his mind already calculating. If humanity couldn't join their galactic community, perhaps they would build something better. The walk back to his office felt longer than usual. Guards saluted as he passed, unaware that humanity had just been sentenced to imprisonment in their own solar system. Park nodded mechanically, his face a mask hiding the storm inside. Once alone, he activated his secure terminal and called the one person he trusted most. "Hannah, we need to talk," he said when his daughter's face appeared on screen. Dr. Hannah Park was Earth's leading physicist, head of the Quantum Propulsion Project. The meeting with the Council. It went badly. Worse than we imagined. "They've banned us from leaving the solar system." Hannah's expression hardened. "They can't do that. They already have. Monitoring stations will be set up within the month." Silence hung between them. Then Hannah spoke, her voice quiet but firm. "Project Shadow Step. It might work." Park knew what she meant. For years, Hannah's team had been developing an alternative to conventional space travel, a method the Council wouldn't expect or be able to detect. "How soon?" 2 years, maybe less if we get the resources we need." Park nodded. "You'll have them." That night, he called a secret meeting with Earth's most trusted military and scientific leaders. In a bunker deep beneath the old United Nations building, 11 men and women gathered around a table, much like the one where humanity had received its sentence hours earlier. "We have 2 choices," Park told them. "Accept the Council's restrictions and remain trapped in our solar system forever, or find a way to break free without detection." General Sunali, commander of the Asian Alliance forces, leaned forward. "You have a plan." "Not yet, but I have the beginnings of one." Park activated a hologram showing Hannah's experimental drive system. "This technology doesn't use the same hyperspace lanes as Council ships. If we can perfect it, we could travel undetected." "And then what?" asked President Carlos Martinez. "We establish colonies and hope they don't notice." "For a time," Park admitted. "But eventually we build something strong enough that when they do notice, it won't matter." The room fell silent as the magnitude of what he was suggesting sank in. "You're talking about defying the most powerful organization in the galaxy," said Dr. Min Kwan, Earth's senior xenobiologist. "The Council controls thousands of worlds." "Yes," Park agreed. "And they just told us we're not good enough to join them. I say we prove them wrong." The debate lasted through the night. By dawn, a vote was taken. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would not accept its cage. 3 weeks later, the Terran Alliance was formed with Admiral Park as its military commander. Publicly, Earth's governments pledged to respect the Council's decision while focusing on internal development. Privately, resources poured into Hannah's quantum drive project and other technologies that might help humanity escape. The Council's monitoring stations appeared at the edge of the solar system as promised. Massive structures with sensors capable of detecting any conventional spacecraft attempting to leave. Council representatives arrived monthly to inspect Earth's shipyards and research facilities, making sure humanity wasn't developing forbidden technologies. Park met with them each time, smiling and cooperative. Meanwhile, deep in underground facilities on Mars and Europa, the real work continued. 1 year after the ban, Hannah's team achieved their first breakthrough. A test probe vanished from their lab and reappeared 2 light minutes away. The quantum tunnel worked, briefly connecting 2 points in space without traveling through the space between. It's still unstable, Hannah explained to her father during a secure call, and the energy requirements are enormous. But it proves the concept. Park smiled for the first time in months. How long until we can send something bigger? A small ship, maybe 8 months. But Dad, there's something else. The excitement in her voice made him sit up straighter. The probe picked up a signal. Very faint, but definitely artificial. And it's not Council technology. Another species. No, the signal is old. Very old. Billions of years, maybe. And it's coming from a star system about 12 light years from here. A system not on any Council maps. Park felt something he hadn't experienced since before the Council's verdict. Hope. Not just for escape, but for discovery. Keep this absolutely secret, he ordered. Not even the Alliance leadership can know yet. The next 6 months were the hardest of Park's life. Council inspections intensified, as if they sensed something was happening. Twice, inspectors nearly discovered hidden research facilities. Meanwhile, Earth's public faced increased restrictions as the Council claimed concerning patterns of non-compliance. Food shipments from Council agricultural world slowed, then stopped entirely. Medical technologies were withdrawn. The message was clear: submit completely or suffer. Instead of breaking humanity's spirit, these actions only strengthened their resolve. When Park presented the Alliance leadership with Hannah's findings, the decision to accelerate their plans was unanimous. We're ready for the first man test, Hannah told her father on the day of his 60th birthday. The ship can carry 12 people. Enough to start a small outpost. Where will you send them? To the source of the signal. We're calling the star system Horizon. 2 weeks later, in a hidden facility beneath the Martian surface, 12 men and women boarded the ship that would carry humanity's hopes beyond their solar prison. The vessel, barely larger than an old Earth submarine, contained everything needed to establish a basic research station. Park addressed them before they departed. You carry with you the future of our species. Find what's waiting for us at Horizon. Lay the groundwork for those who will follow. Show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. As the ship prepared to activate its quantum drive, Park embraced his daughter one last time. I should be going with them, she said. No, your work here is more important. We need more ships, bigger ones. This is just the beginning. The quantum tunnel opened, a shimmering distortion in reality. The ship moved forward and vanished. No alarms sounded from the Council monitoring stations. As far as they could tell, nothing had happened at all. 1 month later, the ship returned with astonishing news. Horizon contained not just one habitable planet, but 3. And on the second world, they had found ruins, the remains of an ancient civilization. The technology is incredible, the mission commander reported. And somehow, our people can interface with it in ways we don't fully understand. It's as if it was made for us. Park looked at the images from Horizon and made his decision. Prepare the next ships. We begin our real work now. The Terran Alliance had taken its first step beyond the cage. They would not stop until they had built an empire of their own. 20 years passed. While officially complying with the Council's restrictions, the Terran Alliance poured resources into developing alternative FTL technology. Dr. Mina Kim stood in her laboratory beneath the lunar surface, watching as her experimental drive core pulsed with energy. Unlike the Council's technology that utilized established hyperspace channels, Kim's drive created temporary quantum tunnels, undetectable by standard Council monitoring systems. "It works," she whispered, as the test probe disappeared and reappeared exactly where predicted, 10 light-years away and back in under 5 minutes. Within 3 years, humanity had established its first colony beyond Sol, Nova Terra. Within a decade, there were 15 colonies, all situated in resource-rich systems deliberately ignored by the Council races. The operation maintained perfect secrecy through strict protocols and quantum-entangled communications developed by Dr. Tahan. The greatest discovery came when explorers found ruins of an ancient civilization on the planet designated Horizon. Han's team discovered technology that responded uniquely to human neural patterns, suggesting a connection between humans and these predecessors that no other known species possessed. The human colonies organized themselves into what became informally known as the Shadow Federation, an alliance of worlds unseen by the Council, yet growing more powerful with each passing year. Dr. Mina Kim brushed a strand of gray hair from her face as she watched the latest colony ship disappear into the quantum tunnel. 20 years had changed her. Lines now marked her once smooth face, but her eyes still held the same determination they had when she'd first improved Hana Park's original designs. "That's the 3rd ship this month," said her assistant. "June, Nova Severus will have 5,000 more colonists by tomorrow." "And the Council?" Kim asked, her eyes not leaving the spot where the ship had vanished. "Their inspection team just left Mars. They suspect nothing." Kim nodded with satisfaction. The inspection teams had become routine over the years, board council officials checking boxes, never imagining that humanity had expanded to 23 star systems right under their noses. Later that day, Kim attended the monthly Shadow Council meeting. Unlike the early days when these meetings happened in bunkers, today's gathering took place in a gleaming conference room beneath the lunar surface. Holographic displays showed representatives from every human colony. Admiral Jun Park, now 80 years old but still sharp-minded, opened the session. "Report from Horizon." A young woman with bright eyes stepped forward. Kim recognized her as Dr. Han's daughter, Sarah. "The integration is complete," Sarah reported. "We've successfully merged predecessor tech with our quantum communication network. All colonies now have real-time communication, regardless of distance." Murmurs of approval filled the room. This was a breakthrough even the Council didn't possess. Their fastest communications still experienced delays over long distances. "And the neural interface," Park pressed. "Even better than we hoped." Sarah's eyes shone with excitement. 30% of humans can directly connect with predecessor systems. We're developing training programs to increase that number. Kim watched Park's face. 2 decades ago, he had gambled everything on humanity's escape from their solar system prison. Now his vision had become reality far beyond what any of them had imagined. The meeting continued with reports from each colony. Nova Terra had doubled its food production. Centauri Prime had discovered new mineral deposits. Each report showed the same pattern: growth, discovery, progress, all hidden from Council eyes. When the meeting ended, Kim found herself walking beside Park through the lunar corridor. "You should visit Nova Terra," she told him. "See what you started." Park shook his head. "Too risky. The Council still watches the old guard too closely." It was true. The original leaders of the Shadow Federation rarely left Sol system to maintain the illusion of compliance. Their absence would raise questions. "Then at least come see the new drive test tomorrow," Kim insisted. 4th generation quantum tunneling. Twice the range, half the energy cost. Park smiled. "That I can do." The next day, in a chamber deep beneath the lunar surface, they watched as the experimental vessel prepared for its jump. This ship was different. Not designed for colonists, but for exploration. Faster, stealthier, able to push farther into unknown space. "Begin countdown," Kim ordered. The ship's drive core glowed brighter than any previous model. The quantum field expanded, creating the tunnel that would let the ship slip between points in space without traversing the distance. 3, 2, 1. The ship vanished. "Perfect. Expected return?" Park asked. 6 hours. They're going beyond our established network, looking for new worlds, new resources. Park nodded, his eyes thoughtful. And perhaps new allies. That statement surprised Kim. Allies? You mean contacting other species? Eventually we must. The Council doesn't represent all intelligent life in the galaxy. There must be others like us, species deemed unworthy or unknown to the Council altogether. This was new thinking. For 20 years, the Shadow Federation had focused solely on expansion and staying hidden. The idea of reaching out to others seemed dangerous. The Council would discover us, Kim said. They will anyway someday, Park replied calmly. Better on our terms than theirs. 6 hours later, the exploration ship returned on schedule, but the data it brought back changed everything. Captain Yun called an emergency meeting. His face was grim as he displayed the ship's findings. We detected a non-Council vessel at the edge of the system we surveyed, he reported. They didn't see us, but their technology. He paused. It's similar to ours. Images appeared on the screen. A ship unlike any Council design. Sleeker, with energy signatures that suggested quantum technology. Another species developing along our path. Kim asked, leaning forward. Not exactly. Yun pulled up another image, a close view of markings on the ship's hull. Though alien, they were eerily similar to the symbols found in the predecessor ruins on horizon. Park's eyes widened. They're connected to the predecessors too. It appears so, Yun agreed. And they're not part of the Council. Their ship avoided a Council patrol just as carefully as we would have. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. We need to make contact, Park said finally. Carefully. Kim wasn't sure. It could expose everything we've built. Or it could give us the ally we need. Park turned to Sarahan. Can you use the predecessor tech to communicate with them? Something the Council wouldn't detect. Sarah thought for a moment. The neural patterns. If they connect to predecessor technology the same way we do, we might be able to send a signal only they would recognize. 2 weeks later, Kim stood with Park and Sarah in the command center on Horizon, watching as they prepared to send humanity's first message to another species outside Council control. Sarah sat in the neural interface chair, her mind connecting directly with the ancient predecessor console they'd restored. Her eyes closed in concentration. Signal sent, she said after a minute. Now we wait. The response came 3 days later. Not a full message, but an acknowledgement. A neural pattern similar to human but distinctly alien. Park smiled as they decoded the basic meaning. We hear you. We also hide. We should talk. And so begins the next chapter, Park said softly. Kim nodded. 20 years of building in secret. Now we find out we're not alone. The Shadow Federation had expanded beyond anyone's expectations, with 23 colonized worlds, a fleet of ships more advanced than anything the Council possessed, and now the possibility of allies. Humanity had transformed its exile into strength. And still, the Council monitoring stations at the edge of Sol system detected nothing, believing humanity remained safely caged in their home system. Kim looked at the star map showing all their colonies invisible to Council eyes. We're not just surviving their ban, she said. We're thriving because of it. Park nodded. And soon enough, they'll discover just how badly they underestimated us. Commander Sun Park never intended to kill anyone. His mining operation in the Epsilon sector was supposed to be safe from Council patrols. When the alien scout ship dropped out of hyperspace barely 5,000 kilometers from his position, he had seconds to decide. If they report back, everything we've built will be at risk. His second officer, Jin, reminded him. Park gave the order. The mining vessel's hastily concealed weapons systems activated, destroying the patrol ship before it could transmit. Admiral Jun Park, now in his 70s but still leading the Shadow Federation's defense forces, received the report with grim resignation. It was inevitable, he told the Emergency Council. We've expanded too far to remain hidden forever. The Council investigation into their missing patrol ship would eventually find evidence of human activity. Rather than be discovered on their terms, the Elder Park proposed a bold strategy. We reveal ourselves now, on our terms, as a unified power too strong to be simply brushed aside. The Shadow Federation dispatched diplomatic vessels to the nearest Council outpost. Their message was simple. Humanity had moved beyond their solar system, had established a thriving interstellar civilization, and were formally declaring themselves as a sovereign galactic power. Commander Sun Park stared at the floating debris on his view screen. His hands trembled slightly as he lowered them to his sides. 26 alien lives extinguished in an instant. The first direct conflict between humans and the Council in 30 years. "Sir, all traces of the weapon signature are fading," Jin reported. "In another minute, it will look like a drive malfunction." Sun nodded mechanically. He was Admiral Jun Park's grandson, third-generation military, raised on stories of humanity's great escape from confinement. Never had he imagined he would be the one to potentially expose everything. "Send the emergency transmission to High Command," he ordered. "Direct line, triple encrypted." While they waited for a response, Sun ordered the mining vessel to continue normal operations. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, but he noticed their nervous glances. They all understood what was at stake. 3 hours later, a secure transmission arrived. Not from High Command, but from Admiral Park himself. "Return to Nova Prime immediately," the old man said, his face showing no emotion. Full stealth protocols. The journey back to the colony took 18 hours. Sun spent most of it alone in his quarters, replaying the moment of decision. There had been no time to request orders, no way to hide their operation before the Council ship could scan them. The choice had been simple: be discovered or eliminate the witnesses. Nova Prime had grown into a thriving world of 5 million humans. As Sun's ship descended toward the capital city, he saw the gleaming towers and green parks that symbolized humanity's success beyond Sol. All of this now at risk because of his actions. At headquarters, he was escorted directly to the emergency council chamber. Representatives from all 27 human worlds were present, either in person or via hologram. At the head of the table sat his grandfather, Admiral Jun Park. "Tell them exactly what happened," Park said without preamble. Sun recounted the events in the Epsilon sector. When he finished, the room remained silent for several long moments. Finally, Governor Hannah Kim of Nova Terra spoke. "How long before the Council realizes their ship is missing?" "Their patrol routes are predictable," answered General Tai, head of intelligence. "They'll know within 48 hours. The search will begin immediately after." "Can we cover this up?" asked another representative. "Make it look like an accident." Jin did her best, Sun replied. "But Council investigators are thorough. They'll find something. Residual energy patterns. Trajectory anomalies. Something." Admiral Park had remained silent, listening to the discussion. Now he stood, commanding the room's attention despite his age. "For 30 years, we have hidden in the shadows, building our strength," he said. "We have established 27 worlds, developed technologies that surpass the Council in many areas, formed alliances with 3 non-Council species. We are not the same humans they confined to Sol 3 decades ago." He moved to the center display and activated it, showing a map of human territory alongside Council space. "We always knew this day would come. The only question was whether we would choose the moment or have it forced upon us." Sun watched his grandfather with a mixture of admiration and guilt. The Admiral had dedicated his life to building humanity's hidden empire. Now Sun's actions might have forced his hand. "What are you suggesting?" asked Governor Kim. "That we reveal ourselves, not as supplicants begging forgiveness for breaking their rules, but as equals announcing our presence." Murmurs filled the room. Some voices concerned, others excited. "The Council has thousands of worlds," objected one representative. "We have 27. They have quantity," Park agreed. "We have innovation. Our quantum technology is decades ahead of theirs. Our neural interfaces with predecessor tech gives us capabilities no council race possesses. He let that sink in before continuing. And we have allies. The Varsi, the Nerin, and the Talax all stand with us. Species also deemed unworthy by council standards. The debate lasted hours. Some argued for hiding the incident, relocating vulnerable colonies, and continuing in secrecy. Others sided with Park, believing the time had come to step into the light. In the end, they voted. 23 in favor of revelation, 4 opposed. Commander Sun, Park turned to his grandson. You will return to Sol immediately. Inform Earth's leadership of our decision. Sun felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Not forgiveness, exactly, but purpose. His mistake would become the catalyst for humanity's next chapter. What will you do? He asked his grandfather. Park's eyes showed a fierce determination that belied his age. I will lead our diplomatic mission to the nearest council outpost. We will show them exactly who we have become. 3 days later, a fleet of 5 human vessels, sleek, advanced ships that had never been seen in council space, dropped out of quantum tunnels near the council outpost in the Rigel sector. At their center was the flagship Defiance, carrying Admiral Park and representatives from each human world. They made no aggressive moves, but neither did they respond to the outpost's confused demands. Instead, they broadcast a single message on all frequencies, in all known council languages. Attention, Galactic Council. 30 years ago, you restricted humanity to our home system, deeming us unworthy of galactic citizenship. Today, we inform you that we have moved beyond your restrictions. The Human Confederation now comprises 27 worlds across 32 star systems. We come not as supplicants, but as a sovereign power, willing to establish peaceful relations based on mutual respect and recognition. On the outpost, alarms sounded as sensors confirmed what seemed impossible. Human ships, far from Earth, with technology that didn't match any known council designs. Aboard the Defiance, Park stood calmly as panicked responses flooded their communication systems. Demands for surrender, threats of response fleets, confused requests for clarification. Sir, his communications officer reported, the outpost commander is requesting to speak with you directly. Park nodded. A moment later, the image of a Taraxan official appeared on screen, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of extreme stress. This is a violation of council decree. The Taraxan began. Your species is confined to the Sol system. These ships and your claims are illegal. Park smiled slightly. The decree was unjust, and we rejected it. As you can see, we have thrived despite your restrictions. Now we offer 2 choices: recognize the Human Confederation as a sovereign power, or face the consequences of continued hostility. Consequences. The Taraxan's voice rose. The Council controls thousands of worlds. You claim 27. What consequences could you possibly inflict? In response, Park nodded to his tactical officer. Across the human fleet, systems activated that had been in development for decades. Targeted quantum field generators that disrupted the very fabric of hyperspace. On the outpost, alarms blared as their hyperspace communications network suddenly went dark. Their connection to the Council severed completely. That is just one example, Park said calmly. We can restore your communications whenever we choose. Consider it a demonstration of good faith that we're doing so now. With another nod from Park, the disruption ended. The Taraxan's eyes widened as reports came in confirming communications were restored. The Council will hear of this, the official warned. We're counting on it, Park replied. Tell them humanity awaits their response. We prefer peace, but we are prepared for any alternative. As the transmission ended, Sun looked at his grandfather with newfound respect. They'll send warships, he said. Of course, Park agreed. But by then, every council world will have heard our message. After 30 years of being told humans were dangerous primitives who needed to be contained, they'll wonder what else the council has lied about. Sun nodded slowly, understanding the strategy. This wasn't just about revealing their existence. It was about challenging the Council's authority, exposing its fallibility. The game has changed, Park said, looking out at the stars. Now we play by our rules, not theirs. The Council chambers on Axis Prime had never seen such chaos. Representatives of 37 species shouted accusations and demands as evidence of humanity's expansion displayed on the central hologram. 57 colonies, mining operations in over 200 systems, a fleet exceeding anything a quarantined species should possess. This violation cannot stand, declared High Counselor Vrex. The humans have deliberately deceived this council and broken the terms of their containment. A coalition of militaristic council races dispatched a peacekeeping fleet to the nearest human colony, expecting quick submission. They found Admiral Park's daughter, Fleet Commander Hannah Park, waiting with the Third Fleet. The battle lasted less than an hour. The human vessels moved in patterns no Council tactical computer could predict, using weapons based on predecessor technology that bypassed standard shields. When it ended, the Council had lost 23 capital ships. Humanity had lost 7. We didn't want this fight, Hannah Park transmitted to the survivors. We only wanted the freedom to determine our own destiny. As news spread throughout Council space, several younger species who had themselves chafed under Council restrictions made secret overtures to human diplomats. They saw in humanity not a threat, but an opportunity for change. High Counselor Vrex pounded his fist on the polished table. His blue skin had darkened to purple with rage as reports of the battle continued to stream in. The Grand Chamber, with its soaring ceiling and ancient symbols of unity, now echoed with angry shouts. 23 ships lost. Our finest vessels, our best crews, gone. Vrex's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. This human infection must be burned out completely. Counselor Meal, representing the Felorian species, rose slowly. Unlike many council members, the Felorians were known for their calm approach. Perhaps we should consider our original error, Meal suggested. 30 years ago, we judged humanity too harshly. Now we see the results. Vrex turned on him. You defend these primitives. They violated the most sacred council decree. A decree they never accepted, Meal countered. And clearly, they are no longer primitive. The holographic display shifted to show captured footage from the battle. Human ships moved in ways that defied standard tactical patterns, their quantum drives allowing them to appear and disappear across the battlefield. Most shocking were the weapons. Energy beams that passed directly through Council shields, as if they weren't there. The technology they're using, said Science Minister Trell, her voice hushed. It matches nothing in our database except fragments of predecessor artifacts. A murmur swept through the chamber. The predecessors were little more than legend, an ancient race said to have seeded the galaxy with life before vanishing billions of years ago. Only fragments of their technology had ever been found, and most races could barely activate them, let alone understand their principles. Impossible, Vrex snapped. No species has ever deciphered predecessor tech. Yet the evidence suggests the humans have, Troll insisted. The neural interface patterns, the energy signatures, they've not only understood it, they've built upon it. Far from the Council chambers, on the human colony world of Nova Prima, Fleet Commander Hannah Park stood before a wall of screens displaying the aftermath of battle. At 52, she had her father's determined eyes and tactical mind. The victory had been decisive, but the 7 lost ships weighed heavily on her. Begin recovery operations, she ordered. I want every survivor found, ours and theirs. Her second-in-command, Captain Min, approached with a datapad. Commander, we're receiving transmissions from across Council space, not from the Council itself, but from individual worlds. Hannah raised an eyebrow. Show me. The messages came from 12 different species, all relatively recent additions to the Council. They expressed everything from cautious interest to outright admiration for humanity's achievement. Some even hinted at dissatisfaction with council rule. "They're reaching out to us," Min said. "They see what we've done, built our own civilization despite the council's ban. And they're inspired." Hana nodded slowly. "My father predicted this. The council maintains control by convincing everyone they're the only path to galactic civilization. We've proven there are alternatives." A priority transmission interrupted them. Admiral Jun Park's face appeared on the main screen, lined with age but alert as ever. "Hana," he said without preamble, "the council has called for a formal diplomatic meeting. They're sending representatives to the neutral station at Proxima Centauri." "A trap?" she asked. "Possible, but unlikely. Their military is in disarray after your battle. The moderates seem to have temporarily gained control of the council." "What's our response?" The old admiral smiled slightly. "I'm heading there now with a diplomatic team. The council expects apologies and submission. Instead, they'll receive our terms." Back on Axis Prime, the council debate had devolved into factions. The hardliners, led by Vrex, demanded immediate military action, a massive fleet to crush all human worlds. The moderates urged caution and diplomatic engagement. A third group, mostly newer council members, suggested reconsidering humanity's status entirely. "We should learn from them," argued Representative Leary of the Novan species. "Their quantum technology alone could advance our civilization by centuries." "Learn from rule breakers," Vrex scoffed. "You suggest we reward their defiance." "I suggest we acknowledge reality," Leary replied calmly. "They have built 57 colonies right under our monitoring systems. Their technology surpasses ours in several critical areas. And they clearly have a connection to predecessor artifacts that none of our species possess." The debate raged for days. Finally, a compromise was reached. A diplomatic mission would meet with human representatives at Proxima Centauri, a star system on the edge of what was now revealed to be human space. 3 days later, the council delegation arrived at the space station orbiting Proxima Centauri's fourth planet. The station itself shocked them. It was clearly of human design, but incorporated elements that resembled predecessor architecture. Most disturbing to the council representatives was how the human guards seemed to interface directly with the station's systems through neural links, something only the most advanced council races could do, and even then imperfectly. In the central chamber, Admiral Jun Park waited with his diplomatic team. Despite his age, he stood tall, his uniform bearing the simple insignia of the Human Confederation. High Counselor Vrex entered first, flanked by representatives from 5 other species. Their expressions ranged from barely contained anger to cautious curiosity. "Admiral Park," Vrex began stiffly, "the Council acknowledges your communication and the regrettable conflict that followed. We are prepared to discuss terms for humanity's reintegration under Council oversight." Park's expression didn't change. "There seems to be a misunderstanding, Counselor. We are not here to discuss our return to Council oversight. We are here to establish diplomatic relations between equals." Vrex's skin darkened. "Impossible. No single species can stand as equal to the Council." "Yet here we are," Park replied. He activated a display showing the extent of human territory, their alliances with 3 other non-Council species, and the technological achievements they had developed independently. "For 30 years, you believed us safely contained in our home system. In that time, we explored, we built, we discovered. Most importantly, we found our own path." Park moved closer to the Council delegation. "We have no desire for conflict with the Council, but neither will we accept a return to restrictions. The Human Confederation offers peaceful coexistence, trade, and exchange of knowledge, as equals, not as subjects." The junior council members looked impressed despite themselves. Vrex, however, was not moved. "You speak of peace while your forces destroy council ships," he accused. "Ships sent to attack a peaceful colony," Park countered. "We defended ourselves. We will always defend ourselves." The negotiations continued for hours. The council delegation struggled to accept the new reality. Humanity would not be contained again. Eventually, they settled on a preliminary agreement, a recognition of human territory, establishment of diplomatic relations, and an exchange of observers. As the council representatives prepared to leave, the youngest among them, a Novan named Taylor, approached Park privately. "Admiral," she said quietly, "there are many within the council who admire what humanity has accomplished. Some of us have long questioned the hierarchy that places certain species above others." Park studied her. "You're suggesting that your emergence may catalyze changes within the council itself. Already there are calls for reform, for more equal representation." She glanced at her departing colleagues. The old order is facing its first serious challenge in millennia. After the council delegation departed, Park received a secure transmission from Hannah. "How did it go?" she asked. "As expected. They're shocked, angry, but ultimately practical. They know they can't simply wipe us out, so they'll adapt." Hannah nodded. "And our next move?" The old admiral looked thoughtful. "We prepare for the real changes. The council has ruled the galaxy for too long without challenge. Our emergence has created cracks in their authority. Now we must be ready for what comes through those cracks." Throughout council space, news of humanity's achievements spread rapidly. On dozens of worlds, especially those newer to council membership, the story inspired awe and reflection. If humans could build their own interstellar civilization despite council restrictions, what else might be possible outside the established order? The reckoning had begun, not just between humanity and the council, but within the council itself. The galaxy that had remained unchanged for thousands of years was about to transform. The great council hall on Earth's New Geneva station was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Humans sat alongside representatives from 11 former council races and 7 newly discovered species who had avoided council contact. Dr. Tahan, now elderly but sharp as ever, presented his findings to the assembly. The predecessor genetic samples show a 97% compatibility with human DNA. We believe they may have seeded Earth billions of years ago, before their civilization collapsed. This connection explains why their technology responds to human neural patterns. Admiral June Park, now approaching his final days, watched from his wheelchair as his lifelong dream took form. The Shadow Federation had evolved into the Concordance, an alliance of species united by principles of self-determination and mutual defense. When the remnants of the fractured council finally sent representatives to negotiate, they found not the primitive quarantine species they had dismissed decades ago, but the leaders of a thriving interstellar alliance with technologies they desperately needed access to. As the former council diplomats entered the chamber, Park leaned toward his daughter and whispered, "They banned us from their empire, so we built something better." Hannah smiled. "And now they come to us as supplicants." The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had not merely survived their exile. They had thrived because of it, creating a new galactic order that would endure for millennia to come. 5 years had passed since the battle that changed everything. Admiral Jun Park felt the weight of those years as his daughter Hannah pushed his wheelchair through the soaring entrance of New Geneva Station. At 93, his body had finally begun to fail him, but his mind remained as sharp as ever. The station itself was a miracle of human and predecessor technology, a massive structure hanging in Earth orbit, designed not with the utilitarian principles of council architecture, but with sweeping lines that suggested both strength and welcome. It had been built specifically for this day. "Nervous?" Hannah asked, pausing before the great doors to the council hall. Park smiled slightly. "After everything we've been through, hardly." But he was. Not nervous exactly, but aware of the historical weight of this moment. Inside that hall waited representatives from 19 different species, 11 that had broken away from the council to join humanity's alliance, 7 discovered in unexplored regions, and of course, humans themselves. Today they would formalize what had begun in defiance and grown through determination. And at the back of the hall, Observers from what remained of the once mighty Galactic Council would watch. "They're ready for you," said Son, Park's grandson, appearing from a side door. Now a commander in his own right, Son had grown into a thoughtful leader. The burden of having fired the first shots of the conflict had shaped him. The doors swung open. The hall fell silent as Hannah wheeled her father to the central position. Designed in a circle rather than the hierarchical tiers of the old council chambers, the new Geneva Hall put all representatives on equal footing. No species sat above another. Park gazed around at the gathered faces, some humanoid, others wildly different. From the crystalline Talax to the gaseous terrene, all had chosen to join this new alliance for their own reasons, but with shared principles. "Friends," Park began, his voice still strong despite his frail appearance. 40 years ago, I stood before the old council as they sentenced humanity to confinement in our home system. They judged us unworthy of the stars." He paused, making eye contact with the council observers at the back. "That judgment was the greatest gift they could have given us, though none of us knew it then." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. Forced to find our own path, we discovered strengths we never knew we had. We built technologies the council had never imagined. Most importantly, we found that we were not alone in our desire for self-determination. The representatives from the former council worlds nodded. Many had joined the Human Alliance after seeing how the council handled the human problem. The rigid hierarchy, the dismissal of new ideas, the control exerted over member worlds, flaws that had been accepted for millennia suddenly seemed intolerable when contrasted with the vibrant, innovative human alternative. Dr. Tahan stepped forward next. Once Park's trusted advisor, now the foremost expert on predecessor technology and biology in the galaxy. Age had bent his frame, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "For decades, we wondered why human neural patterns could interface with predecessor technology when other species could not," Han explained, activating a holographic display. "The answer was in our DNA all along." The display showed genetic sequences side by side, human and predecessor. The similarities were unmistakable. The predecessors didn't just leave their technology behind when their civilization collapsed billions of years ago. They seeded worlds with genetic material that would eventually evolve into new species, a final legacy before they vanished. The hall was absolutely silent as Han continued. "Many species share some genetic markers with the predecessors, but humans retain 97% compatibility, far more than any other known species. We are, in a very real sense, their children." The revelation sent whispers through the assembly. Park watched the council observers, noting their shocked expressions. This information would shake the very foundations of their remaining authority. Many council species had claimed special status based on age or supposed connections to ancient races. Now humanity had proved a direct link to the most ancient species of all. "This explains our unique ability to interface with their technology," Han concluded, "and why we've been able to build upon it in ways the Council never could." Next came representatives from each member species, speaking about why they had joined the Alliance. The Novan delegates spoke of how Council restrictions had stifled their medical research. The Talax described centuries of being treated as second-class citizens. The Vreen explained how they had hidden from Council expansionism, fearing assimilation. Finally, it was time for the formal signing of the Concordance Charter. Each representative approached the central table, where an actual physical document waited alongside digital versions. Old-fashioned, perhaps, but Park had insisted on the symbolism. "The Concordance is founded on 3 principles," Hannah announced as the signing began. "Self-determination for all member species, mutual defense against external threats, and the free exchange of knowledge and culture." One by one, the representatives signed. Last came Admiral Park, his hand shaking slightly as he wrote his name on the document that represented everything he had fought for. "It is done," he declared. "The Concordance is born." The celebration that followed was subdued but joyful. Representatives mingled, conversing through translator implants or in shared languages. Park noticed the council observers standing awkwardly apart, unsure of their place in this new reality. He gestured for Hannah to wheel him toward them. "Counselor Vrex," Park greeted the lead observer. "I'm glad you could attend." The aged Vrex looked much diminished from the forceful figure who had once condemned humanity. The fracturing of the council had not been kind to him. "Admiral Park," Vrex acknowledged stiffly. "An impressive achievement. More than an achievement. A new beginning." Park gestured around the room. "You're welcome to join us, you know. The Concordance has no banned species, no hierarchies of worth." Vrex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The Council has stood for 50,000 years. It will endure this disruption." Park smiled sadly. "Perhaps, but it will never be what it was. Already half your member worlds have joined us or declared independence. Your technology lags behind ours. Your economy is suffering without access to Concordance trade networks. What is it you want, Admiral? To gloat?" "No," Park shook his head. "To thank you." Vrex stared at him in confusion. "If you had welcomed us 40 years ago, we would have become just another council member race, bound by your rules, limited by your traditions. By rejecting us, you forced us to find our own way." Park looked around at the diverse gathering. "And in doing so, we found something better than what you offered." Later, as the event wound down, Park found himself beside a viewport, gazing out at Earth below. Hannah joined him, resting a hand on his shoulder. "Satisfied?" she asked. Park considered the question. "Not satisfied. Grateful." "For what?" "For living long enough to see this day." He turned to look at his daughter. "When they banned us, I was so angry. I wanted to prove them wrong, to show them humanity deserved better. And you did. We did more than that." Park looked back toward the hall where representatives of 19 species now worked together as equals. "We created an alternative, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who felt trapped in their system." Hannah nodded. "And now they come to us, asking for trade agreements, technology exchanges. The mighty council seeking favors from the species they once caged." "Not revenge," Park said firmly. "A better way forward, for everyone." As the stars wheeled slowly past the viewport, Admiral Jun Park felt a deep sense of completion. The journey that had begun with defiance had led to something far greater than anyone could have imagined. Humanity had not merely survived exile, they had transformed it into the foundation for a new galactic order. The next